On July 14, 2025, the United States and Ukraine launched a joint strike on a Russian military train carrying fuel and weapons. From the deck of a U.S. aircraft carrier, 9 Fa-18 Super Hornets roared skyward under full afterburner, flames cutting through the night. At the same time, 60 Ukrainian drones, handcrafted, satellite-guided, and deceptively simple, slipped into Russian airspace from the west. Their prey, a high-speed military supply train. More than 1.2 million pounds of fuel and ammunition packed into its steel frame, enough to feed 3 new missile bases rising near the Arctic frontier. Within just 8 minutes, the convoy was no more. Fire consumed the line, explosions shook the earth, and what began as a moving arsenal ended as a flaming graveyard. But that was only the opening act. The true hammer blow struck moments later when 3 freshly built Russian ICBM facilities, valued at over $4.5 billion, were erased, reduced to silent craters. No survivors, no radar response, only devastation. Why did the US and Ukraine strike together? Why now? And what message does this operation send to the world? Let's find out. In July 2025, US intelligence satellites began to track a disturbing pattern deep in the Russian Far East. Over the span of just 18 days, 3 massive military complexes appeared almost overnight, hastily constructed yet heavily fortified. What they concealed was even more alarming. Each site housed mobile launchers for intercontinental ballistic missiles. These weren't symbolic displays of strength. The missiles had a range of over 6,500 miles, capable of hitting Chicago in 27 minutes, Washington, D.C. in 32. Pentagon analysts quickly realized the implications. Russia wasn't building defenses. It was preparing first strike platforms designed to bypass traditional early warning systems and strike at the American homeland before a response could even be launched. Ukraine's defense ministry added more fuel to the fire. Reconnaissance confirmed Russian supply trains, each stretching nearly 1.2 miles, moving uninterrupted toward the launch hubs for over 2 weeks. Packed inside were refined propellant, high-grade warhead components, and advanced electronic warfare systems. Each train load carried an estimated value exceeding $750 million, making the rail line the single most expensive weapons pipeline since the Cold War. For Washington and Kiev alike, the conclusion was undeniable. Russia wasn't posturing, it was positioning. The threat wasn't distant or abstract. It was real, imminent, and engineered to undermine deterrence. In a closed-door session, a U.S. general cut through the diplomatic language with chilling clarity. If we wait, we won't be fighting in Eastern Europe. We'll be defending Seattle. For the first time in 2 decades, mainland America faced the prospect of a direct nuclear strike corridor being carved into existence, in silence under cover of rail smoke and satellite fog. The threat was real and time was run. The Pentagon's next move shocked the world. Just 48 hours after the satellites confirmed Russia's new missile infrastructure, the Situation Room lit up with urgency. A crisis council was convened. On the encrypted feed sat the most senior commanders from U.S. Cyber Command, Strategic Command, and NATO's forward headquarters. Their assessment was grim. 3 Russian ICBM launch sites were less than 96 hours from full operational status. The weapons they prepared to field were no ordinary missiles. These were the RS-28 Sarmat, known to NATO as Satan II, each capable of carrying up to 10 nuclear warheads, each warhead powerful enough to erase an entire city. Intelligence files left no doubt. One image showed 8 civilian-marked fuel tankers parked outside a hardened missile hangar. Another revealed Russian engineers bolting reinforced concrete domes into place, domes designed to survive even bunker-busting munitions. These weren't deterrent facilities. They were first strike nodes. At 2100 hours aboard the USS Ronald Reagan cutting through the frigid waters of the Bering Sea, the counterplan took final shape. Its code name, Operation Iron Torch. 9 Fa-18 Super Hornets would spearhead the strike, armed for precision destruction. 6 EA-18G Growlers would unleash electronic chaos, jamming communications and radar across a 70-mile radius. 6 F-15 Eagles would provide air superiority, intercepting any Russian aircraft scrambling to respond. And then came the unexpected twist. 60 Ukrainian drones, custom-built, fitted with thermal cloaking and satellite relays. They would swarm ahead as scouts, jammers, and decoys, breaking Russia's defenses before the main strike even arrived. In total, $2.1 billion worth of cutting-edge firepower was being assembled on the deck of a floating city of steel. And its target? A billion-dollar Russian weapons train that wasn't supposed to exist. Before we dive into the plot, leave a comment and let us know which country are you watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest news. The countdown is on. At 2:37 a.m. Moscow, time July 14th, 2025, the dark sky over eastern Russia erupted, not with thunder, but with the scream of jet engines and the pulse of electronic warfare. What began as silence was shattered in seconds, as an alliance of steel and circuitry descended with surgical fury. The first wave came low and quiet. 60 Ukrainian drones launched from hidden positions in western Ukraine and eastern Poland surged into Russian airspace. Small, handmade in appearance, yet deadly by design, they carried one mission: blind the enemy. Within moments, they flooded the spectrum, jamming radar frequencies across a 50-kilometer arc. The Russian surveillance grid flickered, then went dark. The second strike followed almost immediately. 6 EA-18G Growlers skimmed treetops at just 300 feet, their ALQ-218 receivers lighting up the night as they pierced Russia's early warning systems. In 72 seconds, command screens across the region went black. Attempts to activate backup radars only returned false echoes, decoys spun by the Ukrainian drones overhead. Then came the kill team. 9 FA-18 Super Hornets dropped from altitude, each locking onto coordinates of the moving target, a Russian military convoy stretching 140 cars long. The train thundered east at 70 miles per hour, carrying over 450,000 gallons of volatile propellant, assembled warheads and mobile radar arrays. Its estimated worth, more than $2.3 billion. The Hornets struck with precision. AGM-154 joint standoff weapons and GBU-53/EB Stormbreaker bombs slammed into the convoy. The 7th car, a tanker of oxidizers, took the first hit. The explosion chained instantly, igniting car after car until the entire length of steel became a firestorm. A sphere of flame roared 300 feet high, its shockwaves shattering windows 15 miles away. Thermal satellites recorded a scorching inferno, devouring 2.7 square kilometers of forest in 11 minutes. At the blast center, temperatures soared past 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to vaporize steel, leaving only molten scars across the earth. Above, 6 F-15 Eagles circled as guardians. They intercepted 2 Russian fighters scrambled in desperation, downing both. A mobile SAM unit attempted to engage east of the strike zone, but never lived long enough to fire. The entire mission lasted 7 minutes and 48 seconds. Not a single American or Ukrainian aircraft was lost. The Russian convoy, once a billion-dollar artery of war, was reduced to ash and twisted metal. For Russia, it was humiliation. For America and Ukraine, it was a signal written in fire across the night sky. We still own the sky. And if you think the train strike was devastating, wait until you see what happened to the missile bases. Don't go anywhere. The destruction of Russia's billion-dollar fuel and weapons convoy sent shockwaves through the Kremlin. But the operation wasn't over. That fiery rail strike was only phase 1. The true blow was still to come. At 3:12 a.m., while Russian command scrambled to assess the catastrophe, the second wave was already in motion. 5 U.S. Navy Super Hornets, armed with bunker-busting JDAMs, streaked eastward under satellite guidance. Alongside them flew 4 F-15 E-Strike Eagles, loaded for precision strikes and air dominance. Supporting them was another swarm of Ukrainian drones, their role twofold: target illumination and live battle damage assessment. The mission: annihilate 3 newly built Russian ICBM launch sites before they could ever go operational. Target 1, Sokol-17, the command center. Intelligence had identified a heavily reinforced dome shielding Russia's nerve hub for communications and nuclear targeting. 1 GBU-31 penetrator bomb slammed through 3 meters of steel-reinforced concrete. The blast below ignited stored fuel and munitions, vaporizing the bunker in a thunderous fireball. Analysts later estimated 43 personnel killed instantly, including 2 senior missile technicians. Seismographs in nearby villages registered the detonation as a local quake, its force equal to 1.5 tons of TNT. Target 2, Baikal 3, the missile depot. Ukrainian UAVs hovered above, streaming live coordinates into the cockpits of incoming fighters. The strike was surgical. A direct hit on the main weapons storage ignited 14 tons of solid propellant. The explosion tore upward through blast doors, ejecting debris like volcanic rock. Flames speared 100 feet into the air, and tremors rippled 90 miles away, confusing Russian emergency broadcasts, which initially reported a natural gas disaster. Target 3, Krylo 9, the barracks and logistics hub. Believing operational readiness was still weeks away, the site was sparsely defended. Over 200 Russian soldiers were quartered in a long barracks complex, many asleep when the alarm sounded. At 3:41 a.m., 3 precision-guided bombs dropped in sequence, collapsing the 270-foot structure inward. Satellites captured the inferno as the compound disintegrated, trapping scores inside. Secondary detonations from fuel and ammunition stores prolonged the blaze for 3 hours. Russian emergency teams were unable to land. The ground was too hot, the explosions too frequent. By dawn, all 3 sites were nothing but scorched earth. What had taken Russia 17 frantic days and nearly $4.5 billion to construct had been annihilated in under 11 minutes of combat. Analysts in Washington called it a lightning strike of surgical precision. Ukrainian officials, with visible pride, called it a joint masterpiece. And for Moscow, it was a nightmare laid bare. Not only had Russia failed to intimidate the American homeland, it had exposed the fragility of its most ambitious nuclear infrastructure, its vulnerabilities revealed in front of the entire world. As the smoke settled over Russia's shattered railways and obliterated missile bases, the world watched in stunned silence. In less than 15 minutes of coordinated firepower, Moscow had lost 3 fortified ICBM complexes, a billion-dollar weapons convoy, and over 230 personnel. The scale of the loss was unprecedented. Not simply tactical, but strategic humiliation broadcast across the globe. At 7 a.m. Washington time, the President of the United States addressed the nation from the Oval Office. His words were brief, uncompromising, and aimed far beyond American shores. If you point a nuclear weapon at our homeland, you won't receive a warning. You'll receive a crater. It was a declaration not of defense, but of deterrence by devastation. The message was meant not just for Russia, but for every potential adversary listening. Yet the strike had revealed more than just Russian aggression. Intelligence analysts reviewing satellite feeds discovered something chilling. Chinese surveillance drones had been operating less than 40 kilometers from Krylo 9 at the time of the attack. The Kremlin's secret project was not hidden from Beijing. That revelation rippled instantly through NATO councils and Asian capitals alike. The Iron Torch strike had disrupted Russia's ambitions, but it had also exposed new layers of great power entanglement. Ukraine, still under daily bombardment in its cities, seized the moment with a joint statement from its defense minister and Air Force commander. The United States believed in us when others hesitated. With every drone we launch, we honor that trust and reclaim what is ours. The words resonated deeply, transforming the operation into not only an American show of force, but a testament to Allied resilience. Meanwhile, the information war raced alongside the battlefield one. Within 6 hours, leaked footage of the obliterated Russian bases circulated online, drawing over 22 million views. Cratered earth, collapsed bunkers, and twisted steel scorched into wasteland. Images impossible to deny, no matter how Russian state media tried to downplay them. Hashtags calling it the death of Russian deterrence trended globally. The Kremlin's counter-narrative, claiming minor infrastructure damage, was quickly drowned out by intercepted communications, revealing chaos among its high command. For Russia's military, the blow was more than material. During the strikes, long-range radar systems went blind, uplinks severed for 8 crucial minutes. In those moments of silence, Moscow's command structure fractured. No coherent orders, only confusion and panic. Though no immediate retaliation followed, The damage to confidence was already done. Generals who had promised strength now faced the undeniable reality of vulnerability. The geopolitical tremors spread outward. Japan, South Korea, and Australia raised alert levels, citing rapid construction of Russian and Chinese facilities near key naval ports. NATO's inner circle debated next steps, aware that the strike had not only neutralized 3 Russian bases, but had rewritten the rules of preemptive warfare. The unspoken question lingered in every briefing room. If America can do this in Russia, what message does that send to Beijing, to Tehran? By the end of the day, it was clear that Operation Iron Torch had shifted the balance of global perception. America and Ukraine had acted decisively, swiftly, and with devastating precision. Russia's effort to intimidate the U.S. homeland had collapsed in fire. The message resounded across continents, from parliaments to living rooms. America still leads, America still strikes, and America still wins. Operation Iron Torch wasn't just a strike, it was a statement, carved in fire and steel, that reshaped the very definition of 21st century warfare. In less than a quarter of an hour, the United States and Ukraine dismantled billions of dollars worth of Russian infrastructure, erased 3 nuclear launch sites, and demonstrated that distance and fortification are no longer shields against precision, speed, and resolve. The operation reaffirmed a timeless truth. America does not wait for threats to reach its shores. It meets them head-on, with allies at its side and with overwhelming force. For the men and women watching across the globe, Iron Torch was more than a battle report. It was proof that deterrence is not maintained by hesitation, but by decisive action. The lesson is clear. In modern war, speed matters, clarity matters, alliances matter. The difference between catastrophe and control lies in the ability to strike first, strike smart, and strike together. America and Ukraine proved that unity and vigilance remain the ultimate shield, even in an age of cyber shadows and nuclear fire. For those who served in the Cold War, who drilled for nuclear standoffs, and who sacrificed for freedom's fragile line, Iron Torch rang familiar. The threat evolves, but the answer endures. Strength, unity, vigilance. Peace is not preserved by speeches. It is preserved by readiness. Freedom does not survive on words. It survives on action. Operation Iron Torch was not just a mission. It was a warning, a reaffirmation, and a promise. America still leads. America still strikes. And America still wins. Like, share, and subscribe.